Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in our British battleships. This time we are in HMS Warspite and HMS Queen Elizabeth in a special double feature episode paying homage to Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away yesterday on September 8th, 2022. So, with that in mind, I just want to, express my condolences and my respect for the Queen herself and to the people of, the United Kingdom. So, with that being said, we're going to push to the right. We're in the Warspite straight off the bat. The Warspite. That's actually a great name for this thing, and I might actually have to use that from now on. Warspite, you're one of the most, if not the most, if I remember correctly, decorated battleships in history. I know you're the most decorated battleship in Great Britain history, which is, a honor that should, in and of itself, distill, a lot of respect in everybody, given that they were the most powerful navy for so freaking long. That's a huge title to say, like, you're the most decorated battleship in history for that country. But I think it could extend to the world. I think the only one coming close would be New Jersey, which for the U.S., obviously, Battleship New Jersey. But I think that Warspite outmetals him. But that being said, we're gonna talk about this. First shot out on a Laga here, beautiful look, and Warspite does not disappoint, immediately rewarding us with a Citadel, 18,500 damage. And the poor Laga did not enjoy his time. Now, our Hatsuharu that is right here is about to smoke up here, which I understand, but I don't understand, because I know there's planes overhead. So I get wanting to, smoke up here. But you can use your ship to try to dodge and keep things spotted for a little bit longer. Because he smokes up, he keeps me from being able to deal with that Laga, who gets away for a little while longer. However, because I'm not able to shoot the Laga, I notice that there is a Gorky out here sailing broadside, and you know what? We can't pass that opportunity up. Again, British short fuse armor piercing is nasty against cruisers. But Warspite is one of the one of the things about the Warspite that makes it special is it has slightly more penetration than the rest of the British AP that you get. This thing does Citadel battleships regularly if they give you a broadside, but it also still maintains its ability to absolutely punish cruisers, as we've showcased with 2 salvos and 2 Citadels, and make that a third as down he goes, giving us our first blood medal. We're up to 37,000 damage. Now, we're going to push out to the right. This match is actually going to be very, very good for us. It's not just for us, but like in general. Like, this is going to be one of those matches that you dream about. It's going to go down to the wire, giving you ample opportunity to do as much damage as possible, and it's really just going to be a great showcase. Now, Laga, he throws the brakes on here. I was expecting him to go forward because it's easier to go forward than reverse, but he throws on the brakes, starts to reverse. He's going to get away for the moment, and he thinks that he's safe, but he's done. Like, the Flint manages to finish him off. Now, our entire team has kind of, like, black holed over here on the Charlie Cap. We have managed to capture the base, which is good. There is a Helena way out there, but we can't do anything about that. So we're going to go try to flank around the backside of this New Mexico. The premise here is to always create crossfires, right? So we're going to try to keep ourselves, and pay attention to the minimap, we're going to try to keep ourselves in a position where, A, we can continue to put the enemy in a bad location, and B, avoid being right next to our teammates so that we can continuously put the enemy in a bad position. Does that make sense? Like, we're going to use our ship to maneuver to catch the enemy in bad positions, and then because they have to adjust to us, that's going to leave them in a bad position for the rest of our team so that our team can actually punish them. That's the goal here. That's the whole premise of creating crossfires. Sometimes you're on the giving end of the crossfire, and sometimes you're on the receiving end of a crossfire. But at the end of the day, battleship gameplay should revolve around creating those crossfire opportunities, which means you need to be moving battleships. That's what this comes down to. You need to be maneuvering your ships, trying to get those flanks, trying to get people pinched in between multiple ships. Because if you do that, they can't angle against everybody. You can see New Mexico bow tanks me, gets shredded by my teammates. Of course, we overmatch him, so we're going to punch straight through anyway. And so even bow tanking us, he's not going to have a good time. So this is one of those opportunities where he actually would probably be better off giving me more of an angle and staying bow into the rest of the team. But I think there's a Gneisenau there too, which also overmatches him. So this New Mexico is pinched, and there's nothing he can really do about it. Now you can see the carrier is trying to focus us, and this carrier, to his credit, is actually going to do a decent job in this match of trying to help his team win this. But we managed to finish off the New Mexico using the front guns. We're going to go ahead and turn in towards the cap. Now watch what my teammates do here. My battleships are going to go straight after that Helena that's out in the corner. Here's the difference between me and other battleships as we get balanced by the enemy carrier with a nice little citadel. I don't chase kites. Now, you could argue that the only reason I even get a chance to shoot this guy is because these guys pushed out to keep him spotted. But he is firing his guns, so he's going to be spotted at longer ranges than he probably should be anyway, because he thinks he's invincible. He's a light cruiser, he's very maneuverable, he's able to stay at range and kite away and do all the things that he loves to do. But you cannot play around when you have battleships shooting at you. It only takes one shot to leave you going back to port. And the Helena's luck has run out. We get the front guns out, and look at the accuracy on that front gun. Oh my god. And all we have to do is aim it correctly, and that's a GG. Another citadel on a cruiser. So that's 4 citadels on 3 separate cruisers in this match. All of which are known for not giving up citadels necessarily the easiest. So keep that in mind. These things are nasty at giving up, or at taking citadels from cruisers. But they are also very nasty at just annihilating battleships because they have such a fast reload for guns that overmatch. Remember, the Queen Elizabeth class, by the way, Queen Elizabeth class was not actually named after Queen Elizabeth II. Why? Because they were built before she was a queen. I know. Crazy history. But no, they were actually named after Queen Elizabeth I, which was, I believe, Queen Elizabeth II's mother. I could be wrong there. I apologize. I'm not trying to. I'm just pulling this stuff out of my head. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. Not trying to offend anybody. But King George V comes pushing in, and of course we reach out and touch him. Beautifully placed shot right into the superstructure and deck. Beautiful shot. Huge damage, and that's what you get out of these Queen Elizabeth class battleships. You get good accuracy that overmatches and just slaps people, man. If you're getting 10 to 15,000 damage a shot on battleships that are bow tanking you, like, it's devastating. There's nothing they can do. It's like going up against a Yamato at tier 5. And that's not even an exaggeration. That is literally what this is like if you're not careful. Now, obviously, the one downside of the British battleships is the fact that they don't have the most armor. They do have some armor, which you can use to your advantage, and I do quite effectively on most occasions use to my advantage against other battleships, using the dreadnought shuffle that I've taught you guys over the, countless battles where I talk about, bow tanking or slightly angled tanking versus other battleships waiting for them to fire and then pulling out and giving a full broadside and then getting back to being in a bow tanking or angled position before the enemy can slap you. That is the dreadnought shuffle. Okay? It's an art that once you learn it will change your view of dreadnoughts forever. I promise you. I promise you. And any battleship that plays like a dreadnought, aka Alabama, Massachusetts, Colorado's technically, I think, super dreadnought, but Kansas, all of those ships that have decent rudder shifts for battleships and have huge, massive broadside potential, they really love the dreadnought shuffle. And you can, when utilized properly, I'm not going to lie, I thought this Mackinson was dead here. Like, that looked like a dev strike waiting to happen. Obviously, I don't think he had enough to get a dev strike, but that should have been a kill. We didn't get a single citadel. I think he turned away just enough to keep us from actually pinning a citadel. But it could have been his turtleback armor. I'm sure that these things probably have some semblance of turtleback armor, even though it's not that effective because it is a battle cruiser. It doesn't have the most armor in the world, much like Hipper and Prince Eugen and those. They do have turtlebacks, but it's still a cruiser armor, so you can just punch straight through a turtleback with battleship caliber guns in that instance. But here Mackinson, turns out our destroyer actually ends up torping the Mackinson, which was not what I wanted him to do. I was really hoping, because I knew I was drawing the Scharnhorst in. I was really hoping that this destroyer would torp the Scharnhorst. I made the Scharnhorst bow tank me. And now, obviously, we're in a bad position here because we are getting blasted by the Scharnhorst front guns. He does have small guns, but at close ranges, those small guns are pretty nasty. They're very accurate, and so they will surprise you with the amount of damage they're capable of doing. So that is one of the first instances in this game where I show that it's, you know, a little bit of a dangerous play to, you know, go broad. Well, I mean, it's in any battleship, really, but these things don't really have the armor to, even with 283mm guns, put up with that. Now, here he's angled, and I make the mistake of shooting at his belt. I know that he's got an icebreaker bow. Like, I know that this was the wrong shot. I should have aimed a little bit higher, got over that belt armor, but that shot was a terrible shot by me. We're going to make up for it in our next one. Now, he's trying to torp us, and I can only assume that he's, like, lost his torpedo tubes on the one side. That's why he goes back to this side. And I actually get extremely lucky here. I put out that fire knowing that I'm about to get hit. We take it, and just in, like, the smallest sliver of health, we managed to survive. And, you know, Warspite lives up to her history. She is just the ship that just refuses to sink. Like, this ship just refuses to sink. I don't know if you've heard about the Warspite's history, but she has been in ridiculous fights that shouldn't come out alive, and somehow she manages to survive. Gravely damaged, sure, but alive. And we do her the utmost respect and justice in this particular match. Now, did we get lucky on that last salvo? Sure. Sure. And then we pick up the close quarters on the Scharnhorst with the secondaries from this thing, which is hilarious. But like, just the odds of that happening in that moment. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the end of the match because I don't do anything else for the rest of this match. It's over. So give me a second. We'll get right back to you. Alrighty. So we are going to, like I said, speed this up. You guys don't need to sit here and watch me do nothing for too long. I am going to showcase this. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this match in the Warspite. I don't play the Warspite very often because I personally prefer the Queen Elizabeth. But Warspite, the grand old lady, I believe is her nickname. Absolute beast of a ship. A very good tier 5 premium if you're going to pick it up. She's fast. She's one of the faster. Her and the Queen Elizabeth are one of the fastest battleships at tier 5. And on top of that, they have a great reload. They have the 15-inch overmatch ability from tier 5 and tier 6 ships. Like, you gotta love it. Like, the ship really does give you pretty much everything you could ask for at tier 5. So that's just my opinion on it. If you're going to get one premium ship for tier 5, and it has to be a battleship, I highly recommend Warspite. Even though I love Arizona, even though I love West Virginia, Warspite is just absolutely god tier. Top of the leaderboard, just under 3,000. I think it was 2,770 XP or something like that. So all of the medals. But now, presenting Her Majesty the Queen. We are going to push off to the right side. Now, we are top tier. I lied. We are not top tier. There's a tier 6 I saw in there, Prince Heinrich. So, this is actually a tier 6 lobby, but there is a failed division Derflinger in the match. So, you gotta love that. So, the enemy already has a disadvantage in the fact that they have a tier 4 battlecruiser being brought into a tier 6 lobby, which is really unfortunate for them. But we're going to push off to the right side, and right off the bat, we're going to have a teammate running away from his spawn. Now, I believe it's a Prince Eitel Frederick. So, you know, say what you want about it. It's just one of those situations where I don't understand why people try to run from their side immediately. Like, what are you trying to accomplish when you run from your side? Now, I can understand it's a carrier game. Maybe he's trying to get close to other people. He isn't known for having great AA, so maybe he's trying to get close to other people who have maybe some more AA. If that's the case, then I understand. But other than that, in most games when there isn't a carrier, people still do this, and I don't understand why. You're putting your team at a disadvantage by giving up a flank immediately. And you can't do that, because what happens then is everybody's able to wrap in behind your team, and then you're caught in crossfires for the rest of the match. And I don't care how good you are, if you're in a position where you're getting fired upon by multiple angles, you're not going to survive for very long. Because you can't angle against everybody. You pick the biggest threat to angle against, and everybody else is just going to nickel and dime you and take you down. Now, as I said, Prinz Itel cuts in front of us. I look over. I'm like, initially I thought it was a tier 6 battleship, but I'm clearly wrong. It's tier 5. But first things first, we see the Derflinger, and we're like, okay, well, I'm going to take that shot when I get a chance to shoot over the island. We see the torpedoes coming in from the enemy carrier. We try to rush this shot. I did not notice that the friendly carrier was attacking the Derflinger when I took this shot. Derflinger is going to turn out to avoid the torpedoes, and all of our shells are going to miss, which is really unfortunate. But I'm going to continue to push my side. Now look at what the enemy is doing. The enemy is all kind of settling around the center of the map, which is what I call preferable, because this is going to allow me to get crossfires, because I'm going to be able to flank them. I'm going to put exactly what I just told you about this game into practice. You know how I said at the beginning of this match, leaving your spawn or giving up a flank immediately is a recipe for disaster. Now, I do not actually end up going all the way out on this flank, and you'll see why here shortly. But we are going to push into this cap. We're going to help this destroyer capture this base. It is a domination after all. Our team is capturing the alpha cap. The enemy team is all black holed around the center of the map, which is a recipe for a loss, especially in a domination. You have to absolutely get lucky for the enemy to be broadside all the time if you're going to win in that sort of situation. You get to focus firepower, sure. But at the end of the day, if you're not able to project your firepower across the entirety of the map, what ends up happening is you get pinchered. And so that's something that we're going to try to do on this match. We're going to pinch these guys into the center of the map, and we're going to dominate them. But first things first, we got to get into the cap. So Destroyer's already into the Charlie cap. He's going to get himself a solo cap because he's going to capture more than half of the capture points for the base. He did smoke up here, which is odd. I don't know why he decided to smoke here. It was pretty obvious there was nobody here. He was not likely to be spotted. I don't advise you smoking up in a destroyer when you enter a cap initially, and I'll tell you why. If there is another destroyer out here on this flank, you're giving him your location roughly to torp you out of the cap. Otherwise, he has to come in and spot you. So what you're doing is you're giving him something to torp. You're giving him a target. Now, this Mutsu, Mutsus are so predictable, man. I don't know why the Mutsu thinks it's as tough as he thinks he is, but this Mutsu thinks that he owns the ocean, and Queen Elizabeth is about to show him real quickly that he does not. Remember, Mutsu is a battle cruiser with 16-inch guns. Sure, it has 16-inch guns, but that thing has no armor. You get caught broadside by any battleship, it's a GG. If you try at close range to open the angle and torp a battleship, and the person on the receiving end waits, it's a dev strike. From full health, every time you will dev strike a Mutsu who decides to try to torp you at close range. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I saw this Aoba coming forward, and I'm like, this is a wrap. I'm salivating. The guns are starting to get a little tingly. It's like, oh, this is gonna be juicy. Go ahead, sunshine. Come around the corner. Wait for it. You got this. He sees me at the last second. Like, he knows I'm here. But he sees me at the last second, realizes that I'm sitting here waiting for him. Our cruiser actually takes a shot at him, misses by 1.5 miles. We're going to go ahead and make sure we target him, and as soon as he opens that angle, we're going to go through the bow side plating and hopefully get the Citadel, but unfortunately not. We end up getting 4 overpins there. I guess we maybe hit too far to the bow, but yeah, that's one of those that you like to have back. Fortunately for us, he tries to dodge us and runs straight into the island, which forces him to reverse out in front of us. Now, obviously, I'm not an idiot. I know what he's doing. A, he beached, but B, he's torping me. It's obvious. But I also know he's a dead man as he goes down. Like, you cannot back out in front of any ship at this range in an Aoba and expect to live, let alone a Queen Elizabeth battleship. Like, no, you're done. You're just done. But we know the torpedoes are coming, so we use the island. We're going to use the little cove in the island, go forward towards it. That's going to keep us protected from those torpedoes, and that's going to allow us to get into the center of the map. Now, remember what I said. We're not going to go all the way around the island. Why? Because the enemy isn't there anymore. They're now pushing into the middle. So instead of going all the way around and wasting all that time, we put ourselves in a position to affect the match much quicker. And you can see, I see a guy by the name of Big J out there in the Fiji. I'm fairly confident that may be a streamer. I know there is a streamer called Big J Gaming, I think. And I don't know if that's him or not. So, we'll see. But first shot out, front guns alone, over 8,000 damage. And Queen Elizabeth now realizes that he's in trouble. But again, we've got him in a crossfire. If he turns away from us, he's opening up his broadside. And you see how much that works for him. Those weren't citadels. That was just multiple penetrations on the Queen Elizabeth. So keep that in mind. Now, Fiji out here, slowing down, recognizes that he's in trouble. He's trying to make me miss, but I recognize that he's slowing down. British cruisers have a tendency to continue to go forward. They don't slow down very well. So when they start to slow down, it's very easy to, get an idea. There we get the Pitadel. Of course we do. But we managed to finish him off with that shot. Derflinger on our right is going to be our next shot because, Queen Elizabeth may be off our bow, but he's angled relatively well, even though we overmatch him. We got a broadside Derflinger on our right. Now, Derflinger starts to angle away from us, so we aim high, hoping to get a good shot through the deck and superstructure a little bit, maybe. And we get a decent result, over 8,000 damage again. And that's what I'm saying. This thing just constantly gives you 8 to 15,000 damage salvos. On any battleship at any angle, as long as you're not hitting the armor of the battleship. If you aim high, you're going to get those deck penetrations, superstructure hits, all of that. Now here we switch back over to the Queen because I know that Derflinger is in trouble. He's being attacked by a carrier. He's being attacked by a destroyer. So we're going to go ahead and focus the bigger threat, which is the Queen Elizabeth. And we take a shot high into the superstructure, and unfortunately, we don't get the result we were looking for. I think we may have hit the guns at the back of the ship there, but again, he's doing a good job angled against me, but that's leaving him open for the guy in the Alpha Cap, who's absolutely pummeling him. And it was at this point I was like, okay, I've got this kill, no problem. We've got 3 kills. This is a wrap right here, right? Unfortunately, no. We don't end up killing him here. We leave him alive because that's what I do. He actually slows down, turns back out. He's doing a good job of trying to shuffle, but unfortunately, we're just not able to pull it off. Leaving him alive, and of course, our battleship on the other side gets his kill, which is fine with me. He did most of the damage, so more power to him. Now, we've already got 1 assist cap, and now we're getting a solo cap by going into the Bravo cap. The carrier is preoccupied with the destroyer that's coming to ruin his life, and we have a battleship and a destroyer and a battleship straight off the bow. We have 1 battleship about to come back to help with his carrier, 1 battleship going across the bow towards my other battleship at Alpha Cap, and a destroyer who has not been spotted for the entirety of the match, though he is currently spotting us, which leaves me a little bit of, reservations about the way I feel right about now. So you can see, rather than wait for the torpedoes to show up, I know there's a destroyer spotting me because he's the only one that has line of sight on me, and he's the only thing not spotted recently. So, obviously, destroyer makes a huge mistake here. He sets a smokescreen intent on trying to burn down a full health battleship. And because of that, he also gives away his position. Now, we've already changed course once to avoid any potential torpedoes that were coming our direction. We're already sizing up the Prinz Heinrich here, which is a tier 6 battle cruiser for the, well, it's battleship, but it's a battle cruiser for the Germans. And you can see that second change of course, because he shot us, was what we needed to go ahead and assume that we were about to be torpedoed. And we were able to dodge those torps easy. Prinz Heinrich, I see the bow of a ship, I go ahead and take that shot. I know I don't need a lot of damage to kill him, so a couple of pins, he's dead. And sure enough, we get 4 full penetrations, and down he goes. So Prinz Heinrich is dealt with. We got a destroyer nearby, and I know what you're thinking. Spartan, why don't you switch to HE? There's a destroyer there. It's because I'm not in position to actually deal with the destroyer yet. That destroyer is going to sit in that smoke screen. He's going to YOLO me. I know what's going to happen. He knows what's going to happen. We aren't stupid. However, after this shot on the Fuso, broadside Fuso, you can't miss this shot, right? I immediately switched to HE after firing the guns because I'm anticipating the destroyer going, oh my god, he just fired his guns, I can kill him. What the destroyer doesn't realize is that the Queen Elizabeth class battleships reload very quickly. And having HE loaded in a British battleship versus a destroyer, you're not going to have a good time. Tier 6 destroyer or not, you're about to have a real bad day. He turns out to get his torpedoes away. We've got our guns on target. We get all the guns away, and we dev strike him, getting our quacking. And we managed to survive. He only got one rack of torpedoes away. So we get the damage con off. We get our heal going. And that was absolutely textbook how to deal with a destroyer. It's one of those situations where you know what the guy is going to do. You can't panic. All right? You've got the health to deal with it as long as you try to dodge a couple of the torpedoes and you try to shoot him fast enough that he doesn't get all of his torpedoes away. We had the guns where they needed to be, and we managed to turn the ship to make sure we get all of the guns involved, and we take him out. Now, Fuso gets very fortunate here. I'm not going to lie, I was not expecting to shatter 4 shells off of Fuso, but he does set a fire, and he is actually going to set a double fire on us, which is unfortunate. But it's okay, because he has lost even more of his health. We're 8 seconds away, and I see the carrier coming in. I see the enemy, or the friendly battleship taking chunks off of him. Like, oh my god, are we going to get a chance? Nope, carrier's going to torp him. Surely this guy's going to die. But no, he actually survives that, and we get to kill him. And, of course, he gets the double fire before he dies. So he's going to get quite a bit more damage, since I can't damage con this for 20 seconds. Now, the good news is we're going to survive this. It's not that big a deal. But it's just unfortunate. Now, the game is actually at 997 points, so we don't end up capturing this point or this base, unfortunately. But this could have been a potential for another solo cap if we had enough time. And that would have been this game even bigger for the team. But Kraken, 6 kills, First Blood, Confederate, Dev Strike, 103,000 damage, top of the leaderboard with 3,260 base XP. I think that's a fitting tribute for the Queen. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm glad you enjoy what I do. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.